What is up, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Sports Report After Dark. I am your host, Seven. With me is my partner in crime, Dan the Dick Werner. Man, it's been a crazy day. Sorry we're starting off a little late here. Those guys on the Sports Report wouldn't shut the fuck up, so we couldn't get started. Those assholes, all of them. Every single one of them on that show.
2 weeks in a row, our producer, Josie, just ruining our show. Just blatantly coming in with just some side punches we couldn't handle this time.
That's just 100% true. Fucking Josie.
It is.
But yeah, man, it's been an interesting week in sports, but you sent me something earlier tonight, and I need to get an understanding because when I read what you sent me, because when I asked you what you wanted to talk about tonight, when I read what you sent me, I thought you were joking, but I'm thinking about how much I know you. I have a feeling that there's going to be some bullshit regarding this, and you're going to almost bring me around. But you said that you think Master P could be the next Lakers coach with Shaq as assistant head coach. So the floor is yours, my friend, to sell me on this.
In a recent article with TMZ, Master P, the rapper, yes, guys, the rapper. Not the I don't even know what other Master P there could possibly be, like a flooring company. Said that there's some master flooring company. Don't think too much into it. Said that he and I quote, tell her, talking about Jeannie Buss, to bring me up for an interview. Bring me in. I can help get us some W's and some championships. At least give me a shot. Unquote. Was Master P's, and you know what? I think it'll work as good as any other coach. Not named Tyronn Lue, who's not going away from LA. He's still got Kawhi and those boys over there, just kind of waiting to maybe put together 1 year where all of them can stay healthy. That sounds almost as realistic as Master P being the coach of the Lakers, doesn't it? But yeah. See, and then let's talk about realism, guys. All right. Tyronn Lue's over there fucking living a lie. They're living a lie. Kawhi's like, yeah, I'll play next year. Dun, 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 dun. But yeah, no, I think that's just realistic. No, Master P, I mean, he coaches what do you call him? God damn, I can't think of the name. The high school league.
Let's say, what doesn't he have an AAU team that he coaches?
AAU, sorry, yeah, AAU. I can't think of that.
Okay.
Yeah. He has an AAU team. He's been coaching an AAU team for over 10 years now, and does a good job. They win all the time. I mean, is coaching an NBA team like coaching an AAU team? Kind of. I mean, not gonna lie to you, kind of.
There's a lot of. I mean, the AAU is almost starting to be a funnel into the G League, to some extents. Like, and there's a lot of people that will just think Master P as the producer and rapper and such that he is, and not give him credit. But you are right. He has managed to coach a winning AAU team consistently for about a decade.
Let's think about similarities, Tony. Similarities in the AAU and the NBA. AAU guys just getting together, usually. Haven't been teammates for a long time. LA, not a lot of teammates that have been there for a long time. A lot of conflicting personalities. You're going to have
some overhaul in the offseason as well. So having somebody that can work with those situations isn't exactly the worst idea in the world.
Some immature motherfuckers in AAU.
Oh, no, yeah, you're right about that.
Some immature motherfuckers on the Los Angeles Lakers. Without talking down to my buddy Braun too much. Some immature motherfuckers on the Los Angeles Lakers, especially when things don't go so well.
Absolutely. And I think that you're right. But I feel like you need somebody that can go in there and rebuild that team. The Lakers don't have a choice at this point. Whether you keep LeBron, AD, and Russ, all three or none, or not, they have to rebuild.
I'll tell you why this is the best option for them right now, honestly. Master P is the best head coaching option for the Los Angeles Lakers at this point as we see it, and I'll tell you why. because Master P is going to come in there. Do you think Master P gives a flying fuck about getting another NBA job if he gets the Lakers job? Does he ever plan to coach in the NBA again? Probably not, right?
No.
He don't give a fuck. And you know what that's gonna create? It's gonna create kind of a Donald Trump-ish president situation where people are gonna like this motherfucker because he doesn't give a fuck. And he is going to get in these dudes' faces. He's gonna get in LeBron James's face and go, "Hey, motherfucker, maybe you're not doing everything right all the time either. How about that? How about that?" And because no other NBA coach is gonna do it, are they?
That's a fair sentiment. But honestly, I think this is where I'm going to put in the argument again for Jason Kidd.
Dude,
and
how?
I don't hate the idea of
how are they going to pull him? He already coaches, bro. He's got a good situation. He coaches in Dallas. He's got a great situation,
isn't he?
He's their head coach, bro.
Okay.
He's Dallas Mavericks head coach.
I'm going to retract my statement on that because I thought he was still an assistant coach. Okay, so
I agree with you that Jason Kidd clearly a better fucking coaching option for the Lakers. Yes, but he's not. He ain't leaving. He's got Luka.
And I wouldn't leave that situation either. As a head coach, no, God, no. That would be like saying Monty Williams might consider going to the Lakers after the season. No, he's not. No,
he's got little white European LeBron. Why would you want to run away from that?
Little white European LeBron.
He is. That's what it is.
I mean, it's not exactly wrong. So when we look at a more realistic sense, because obviously, so we've taken off two of the better names when you think in basketball, in Ty Lue and Jason Kidd. Depending on how Brooklyn finishes this year, Steve Nash could be on the table.
Steve Nash is not. Well, yeah, that's a good point. I just want to point this out to our After Dark crowd. Seven called this that Steve Nash is a garbage coach from like the very beginning straight out. So that Steve Nash doesn't do shit. And now it's like a narrative. Now it's like a real, like they talk about it all the time now. Like people are like, he's so bad. And Seven called this the whole time. He's so bad that like even the mainstream guys are willing to like be like, well, Steve Nash doesn't really do anything. Like, no shit.
And that's that's the thing that Steve, because, and especially if they don't, because I don't think them making the first round is enough for him to keep his job. With how the year has gone, I don't think it's enough. I think we're going to see if they can manage to get past the Celtics, he keeps his job regardless of the results, unless they get swept in the next round. Then I can see him back on the table.
I'd say even if they beat Boston, I think he's got to make it a legitimate Eastern Conference for them to not go, all right, well, our talent's probably a little bit too much for this guy to be out there. Like, we just gave him a shot. Maybe he's not the best. Steve Nash should have had a goddamn assistant job before he just fucking jumped in.
And that was my argument when he was hired. There was a lot of people that were bitching about it because of the fact that he was, they were saying, oh, Ty Lue or African-American coaches. Here's the thing. If somebody's the best person for their job, when it comes to this head coaching stuff,
white or black, I need the job.
Again, at that point, and I know people are going to disagree with me, and I respect your opinion, but white or black, if it's the best person for the job and the culture, the vision, we talk about what we've been talking about on Sports Report and on the winter meetings about how owners need to have visions. You give me a coach with a vision that's the best fit for that job, I don't give a fuck what race they are.
That's what it should be.
It's not just that. I'm sorry, I wasn't going to.
Josie, welcome to joining us, by the way. Thank you.
I'm not going to stay long. I was just trying to watch for a second, but you got a good point here, and I got to make this. As a trans person, no matter what, I understand, yes, we need more color in different positions in sports, yes, and
absolutely
different in general. I would love to see more females in coaching positions in sports in general, but no matter what, it should come down to one thing. Is this person going to do what's right for our organization?
Exactly. And so when Stephen A. Smith was all up in arms about Steve Nash, I was like, no. Here's the thing. My opposition to Steve Nash going to Brooklyn was you had all of that talent, because even when Steve Nash just went over, it was still a talented group, because that was right at the same time James Harden went, if I remember correctly.
Yes. He was
same off season.
Yes.
No, he went during the trade deadline, but it was still KD and Kyrie and DeAndre Jordan and LaMarcus Aldridge at that point, and a lot of guys.
Exactly.
They were loaded.
It was a loaded team. Yes, Steve Nash is an NBA icon, especially for the late 90s and early 2000s when it comes to basketball. But playing and coaching are two different things.
Yes.
I apologize. I fucked that up too. Harden was there. I'm sorry. He was there, and then he got traded at the trade deadline to Philly.
Yeah.
My bad. That's my fault.
But you've got all of this talent, and Nash is a remarkable talent in and of himself. But it's almost like the LeBron effect, the Jordan effect, stuff like that. Nash is one of those. It's like, okay, this is what you need to do. Well, why can't you go do that? And he's got KD and Kyrie that can.
Kyrie Irving quoted as saying, "We don't really need a coach," unquote.
But that's exactly the thing. The way that team is built, that would be and here's the thing. If we're going to start looking at reasons to, places to put coaches to diversify specifically, because I understand making a conscious choice to make a diversity decision to make change. This is where a female coach would fit.
It would be interesting. That'd be an interesting fill-in. Honestly, I'm buying from Master P at this point, which is never going to happen. Obviously,
but I'm saying with the
qualified female coach with the Nets would be awesome. That's a good idea.
I'm saying specifically with the Nets.
That's what I'm saying. In that situation right now, yes.
A decent female coach. There's that chick that just went over to the WNBA who's making more than any of the players. She is a competent basketball coach. She should not have to go to the WNBA just to get a coaching job, to get a head coaching job.
That's not.
She should be a head coach in the NBA, and I can't remember her name for the life of me right now. But
obviously, famous WNBA star. I know who you're talking
there
about.
Is, but a spot like that, because you really don't have to tell Kyrie and KD what to do. Outside of this is the workout and practice schedule and game schedule, they're going to take care of what they need to take care of. They are literally those type of players. It's like Tom Brady,
Becky Hammond.
Becky Hammond. That's what I was talking about. Right. And, and a lot of respect for what she's done. She's a very knowledgeable basketball person and coach. If you talk about the game, she knows what she's talking about. But it would be a better position for somebody like, when you're going to make that diversity choice to open up the talent field as a first shot, put Becky Hammond in there. Because if you put Becky Hammond in that position and the Nets fall to the Celtics in this playoffs, they're not blaming Becky Hammond. They're talking about Kyrie and KD and the choices the front office made to not put the talent around him. I deeply believe that. But because of the expectation that comes from having a mind like Nash at the helm of the organization, at the helm of the team, basically as the head coach, the conversation changes. And I rightfully so to some extent, but I'm not going to feel bad for saying that Steve Nash should have been an assistant coach somewhere. I think that Jason Kidd, he was an assistant coach, and he's now running Dallas. Clearly, I thought he was still assistant, but running Dallas, I guarantee you he's doing, without any knowledge of specifically what he's done, I guarantee you he's running that organization better because of the time he spent as an assistant coach, where he got to sit back and watch what decisions other people made so that he had experience to draw from.
Very similar case as well, because Jason Kidd actually got a head coaching job immediately, like Steve Nash.
No, he was an assistant. Well, he was a head coach. Then he went back down.
And he went back to being an assistant with the Lakers. Yep. And now
you're right. I'd forgotten that. Who was it that he was a head coach for?
Now you're gonna make me think about that. It was God damn it.
Because it wasn't the Suns.
No. Hang on. It was. I think it was a team that he played for.
Was he the head coach of the Nets for a while?
I believe it was the Nets.
That's what I'm thinking. And
he got it immediately though. Yeah. Just like, yeah.
And
2013. There you go. Yeah. 2013.
It was just 1 year too, wasn't it?
I think he was there for more than one. But yeah,
He wasn't there for long. It may have been a few. Yeah, you're now thinking about it. It may have been 2 or 3 years. But Steve Nash should get the opportunity to continue to coach, but he needs to get some experience at the assistant level. He needs to learn to coach. There is more to coaching than just saying, here's the play, go do it.
he was kind of the impromptu coach of that 2011 Mavericks team that won the title too with Dirk. He was kind of their. I mean, it was Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle was their head coach, but he was a lot of the X's and O's guy. He was kind of like a player coach for real. He was like 40 at that point.
But he was still a player at that point. And I think, but yes. You also have to look at, he retired in what, 2012, 2013?
2012, yeah. Well, I think he walked away after that 2011 title. So
it was okay.
Yeah, he was 40.
So we're looking at, because Nash has been in, this is his second year. Is that right? Nash's second year in Brooklyn.
Well, Nash is in it. Yes. Yeah. No. Yeah. No, it's first name for sure.
Is it okay? So you've got Nash. I think so. In his first year, but the results that we're seeing are not because of coaching. But if you take him back, put him on the bench next to Monty Williams, put him on the bench next to Phil Jackson or Ty Lue or Popovich. Popovich would be a great choice.
With Rick Carlisle. I mean, there's obviously a lot of guys who've come from that Popovich coaching tree.
But give him some time under a legitimate coach so that he can learn it right. Because if he wants to coach, I'm all for that. You know, guys like him, Dirk, Chris Paul, once he's ready, I would love to see those guys coach. But I want to see it with them developing the experience of actually being a coach, because being a player coach is different than being a player, and being a coach is different than even being a player coach.
At the same time,
completely different business.
At the same time, I feel like he's the only, like, the reason that he was so good as a pro is like the only reason why he's not just getting shunned out of that complete, like getting like way batted out, like LeBron would do with like guys like the guy right before Tyronn Lue, anybody who he doesn't feel like was a legitimate player. Like, what I'm trying to say is I feel like Steve Nash's skill as a player is the only thing that's not getting him completely like ran out of that building as far as like his opinion goes on everything. You know what I'm saying? Like David Blatt is what I'm looking for.
You're probably right.
David Blatt, 2016 or 15 would have been with the Cavs when their owner, David, whatever his name is, Gibson or whatever. He out of nowhere hires David Blatt, who's never had a head coaching job in the NBA. Is a European head coach, and LeBron just ran him out of the building. It was like, I don't think that you're as good. Like, if you're going to be X's and O's guy, or if you're going to be Greg Popovich, you either need to have an influence in that room, like a presence, or you need to be the best X's and O's dude that is possibly imaginable. Like that's what Brett, for the Celtics coach before he got fired a couple of years ago. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, we can't think of any names right now, guys, but Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens. Yeah, see, I'm thinking of him after that. But Brad Stevens was an X's and O's guy. That was his thing. Like, that was just like,
right.
You're going to call the best play, Brad Stevens. Like, we need you here for the X's and O's. We'll handle this obvious void of some kind of figure being in the room. Like, we'll handle that our way. And they did for a while. And I think that was probably why it collapsed, because they didn't have that guy. Jason Tatum was too young, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if Jason Tatum had more experience, it would have been I think Brad Stevens' time in Boston would have been better.
Brad Stevens' time was good in Boston for one. Like, it was pretty good. And then, but not as good as it could have been because Tatum now, Brad Stevens in Boston now works even better than it did because Jason Tatum is the guy in that room now. He's the presence in that room. He's proven. And
I think part of that was Tatum accepting that responsibility and the need for him to actually fill in that role.
Right.
Because, right. I mean, at first he was just so young. A lot of those young guys, when they just first get in, they really don't want to be that leader of the organization. They want to get their feet wet. They want to learn.
Because they ain't done shit.
Because they haven't done shit. And that's the speed of the game. The rules are different. There's so many different things that they have to deal with in that transition, which is why I think the G League is a kind of a better choice, because the G League rules are the same. It's just those lower players.
And the speed's going to be the same.
And the
skill
speed
level
is
is not going
more
to be
similar. Right. Your skill level is different, but
more shots go down in the NBA. That's about it.
I mean, exactly. But, you know, when you look at, you know, especially these guys that transition from college ball, they need that time. And Jason Tatum, when he got called up to his time to shine, he did, and he deserved that time. He was a young guy, you know, and obviously he's still young. It's only been a couple of years. Since that it was 2 years, I think, is what you're talking about for when
Brad Stevens.
And so he has that, you know, he's been able to develop that mentality, but it takes guys a couple of years once they get into that scenario to really mature. They have to learn, you know, they go a little crazy because they're young and they got a whole bunch of money that they didn't have before. And
I hate to do it, Tone, but real quick, we're not even going to play 7 degrees. We're just going to play straight to LeBron James at this point. Now we're going to underestimate an 18-year-old LeBron James coming into the league in 2003. And think about what we just talked about with Jason Tatum, who's clearly one of the best talents that's come into the NBA. I mean, he's up there at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Top 25 talent in the last 10 years. This guy's going to be a legend when he's done. I'm talking Tracy McGrady, more than Tracy McGrady if he wins the title.
More than Tracy McGrady. But I think I think longevity is going to depend on that, because because McGrady was what, 5-6 years, something like that, where he was. I
mean, T-Mac played for like 13 years. I mean, he was
okay. All right.
Yeah, quality years, like, yes, probably 5 or 6. I mean, he had the switch over between when he went from when he went from Toronto to Orlando and he got his money, he was kind of pulled the old Larry Johnson.
Yeah,
and T-Mac didn't want to play anymore, but like, that's fine. Like, I get it, bro. Like, I've been quoted on this show saying, if I was a professional athlete and I got my money, I'm done, dude. I'm not gonna be near as good. I'm not gonna be near as good, bro. I'm done. I'll just be like, no. Like, I'll just show up. Like, you just gave me $100 million, bro. I'm gonna do whatever I want now for like the rest of my life.
No, it's like Consuelo from Family Guy.
No. No, we're going to give you $95 million and you're going to keep playing. No. Yeah, that's basically.
I got what I need.
No, I'm good. She just Windex. Yeah.
We need more lemon pledge.
See, but Consuelo, you have to buy that. Consuelo, you have to buy it from home. No. Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, and of course, so yes, obviously we don't fault these guys that get their bag from being like, I'm good now.
Regardless,
because
we were talking about Jason Tatum. Yeah, we got off subject of Tatum. Yes.
But, you know, he's taken that step, which is fantastic for the Celtics. And it's one of the reasons why I think it's going to be the Celtics and the Bucks for whoever, you know, it's the Celtics and the Bucks decides the Eastern Conference, regardless of when they meet. Whether it's next round, which I don't think it can be next round. I think it would need to be in the finals, the Eastern Conference Finals. But I'm going to put this out there for the off chance that I've missed something and that could happen. When they meet, that decides who's going to the Super Bowl, basically to the NBA Finals for the East.
Kind of like we said. I mean, it's going to be if Brooklyn comes out of that series, then it's Brooklyn, Milwaukee. And that'll I think Milwaukee will fuck Brooklyn up, honestly, because I think at that point they're going to have to fight through. Brooklyn's going to have to go fight through a second round too that they're not going to sweep. You know, they're not going to, because Kyrie's just going to come out one night and be like, I don't really want to play. And like, and then KD's over there like, oh, I don't know if I want to play either. Like, they do that shit all the time, dude. They're bad about it.
The only way, like I said on Sports Report, the only way that I can give Brooklyn a shot to make, Brooklyn a shot to make it past Milwaukee is if Ben Simmons comes back and is actually playing well. That's the line, which is a very slim chance of happening, and I know that. But I think that's what it takes for them to get to the finals.
People are going to take that the wrong way when you say that too, because like they're going to think like, oh, Ben Simmons is just going to run that offense. No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying Ben Simmons is a fucking excellent defender. If you know anything about the NBA, Ben Simmons is a way better defender than he is an offensive player.
Absolutely.
He's
Absolutely.
a way better. The only thing that brings this guy value, and the reason they talk so fucking high about this guy, is not because he makes some cool, like, under the leg fucking pass as a 676er or he's a 6'10" point guard. It's because he's a 6'10" point guard on defense, guys.
Yep.
He can guard 1 through 4. He'll guard anybody except for the other center. He's not taking DeAndre Ayton into the post. DeAndre Ayton will fuck his ass up. But who he will take is 1 through 4 on the other team, regardless of who the fucking position is. He can switch off. He's quick. He's athletic. He's long. He's got a 7'3" wingspan. That's fucking retarded, just so everybody knows. His hands are huge. He's a great defender. He's a great defender. What?
R word online. No, we can't. Yeah, that's one that will get us flagged.
What did I say? I didn't say that. As an adjective. I don't know. We'll look it up. I'm kidding. I got you.
If it gets reported, we get in trouble. So you can't do that one.
I got you. It's as an adjective. No, but I mean, he's a great defender. That's basically what we're trying to say. It's like, he's a defender. It's not about his offensive. Like, it wasn't about him being fucking, he's going to run that offense and be like any kind of floor general type guy. He's going to be a defender. They need somebody to play defense, period, outside of Bryce Brown.
Absolutely. And
Bruce Brown.
And that's what, and that's my thing is Simmons adds the defense that they need to slow Milwaukee down so that you might actually get a little bit more out of Kyrie and KD on the defense. And that's when you start to flip the score into their favor. And you may only see them win by 4 or 5 points. Though every single game may come down to the last 2 minutes. In fact, it probably will. But that's what the Nets need to get it. And going on to your original point about Master P, they may not have a choice.
It all comes first full circle. Guys, realistically, they're not going to fucking hire Master P as the Lakers head coach. Like, they're not going to do that, okay? Shaquille O'Neal, that's interesting. And that would be awesome because Shaq would do the same thing. Do you think Shaq's going to let any of those motherfuckers try and stare him down in the locker room and do the shit
that doesn't give a single fuck
and do the shit that LeBron James does to normal coaches? Okay. LeBron just wants you to have a little bit of nutsack. That's all. That's all he wants. He wants you to stand up to him and tell him to shut the fuck up one time. And he'll be like, all right. He just wants you to show him that you're there to do something and not just pussyfoot around everything. Honestly, I think that he thought at some point Frank Vogel called out LeBron James in a practice or something because LeBron had Frank Vogel's back 100% that entire time. Frank Vogel showed LeBron James that he was ready for the job at some point. I'll tell you that much. Was he good at it? No,
and I think that you're correct in that regard. Because I think that a lot of the reason why Vogel kept his job as long as he did was because of what he was like behind the scenes. Because and I think a lot of it comes down to the Buss family was still hoping for at least a playoff, a play-in. And then by the time they realized the play-in wasn't going to happen, it was already too late to fire him and make any kind of a difference. So you just let him finish the season. And I still believe, to an extent, Frank Vogel was a scapegoat. I'm not saying he was the best coach.
He was to a certain extent. And I'm not going to blame Frank. I take not like of anybody, I think that likes the NBA and shit, I take the least amount of viage into the coach. Mm-hmm. Like, I really don't think that the coaches are that important. I'm sorry. That's going to be like an issue, but I don't think they're that big of a deal. I think that there are certain ones who can really control personalities. And I think that's the best thing you can do as an NBA coach. There's nothing X's and O's that these guys aren't already going to be drawing up in their head or just call because they figured it out sometime in practice. You're not going to be it's not like these guys aren't dumb. They know the X's and O's of the system. Like they know what's going on. Like they'll do it. It's got to be
have an earpiece of a coordinator in their ear as they get the ball walking down the court. Somebody's going, all right, 5 under, 4 rounds.
Such a different level. Yeah, they're on such a different level. There's no calling plays out. Some guy's not tapping on top of his head like it's college. He's not like calling 5 and shit. Yes, they have out of bounds plays and stuff like that, like out of timeouts, things like that. Yes, there are times when that needs to be done into the game, maybe even. But if you don't think those guys can think that up, like Kyrie said, we don't need a coach. It's because him and KD could literally sit there and run the huddle and go, hey, Bruce, corner, I'm screening up. You're doing this, right? We're running this to the corner. Like, KD, I want you to take the shot. Kyrie, I want you to be the decoy, whatever. They can run that. They can run that shit.
Hey, when you do this, they're doing this. So switch or do whatever, how to counter that thing. Those adjustments, I think, and I think you're right. I think, and especially with certain players, because again, and I'm gonna beat this Ben Simmons thing with a dead horse, especially if you get him back on that court. They don't need Steve Nash.
No.
At that point, you could put Becky in there. You could put Jason Kidd in there. You could put Frank Vogel in there. You're going to get the same result.
Especially, yeah, exactly. Especially when Steve Nash isn't an X's and O guy in the first place.
He's not.
Like if Steve Nash clearly is not an X's and O's guy, he clearly is not a very technical, like, take the timeout before this. They ended that game the other night, a 114-113 game. They ended with 2 timeouts. That's not a good thing, guys.
Wait, I missed that. They still had 2 timeouts.
They had 2 timeouts that entire time. He has to take a timeout before that out of bounds play is run. They should have at least not even had one. I watched the tail end of that game, but it was kind of hit and miss. And now the buzzer beater was legit. Yes,
it was a great shot by Tatum, but I completely missed that. That's insane.
He doesn't call a timeout before that fucking very crucial. I understand that there was like, okay, I believe there was like 6. What was it? There's like 6.8 seconds left, something like that. He doesn't take a timeout, and like there are some reasons why you wouldn't, I guess, just to not let Boston set up a play for one. Okay, you have a 6.8 seconds. You don't let Boston go to the sideline.
That's the reason you don't in those situations is to keep them from prepping.
You have to. If you're they're on side out, halfway up the 3-point line on their sideline. They're on their own sideline. 6.8 seconds left. Brooklyn has no idea what the fuck they're doing, but neither does Boston. But that's also an advantage for Boston. They don't even have to think about it. It's just like, drive real quick, and clearly, Tatum drives down the lane, and the craziest part about it is Kevin Durant, you can see him with 3 seconds left. He looks up at the shot clock, and guess who Kevin Durant is guarding at that time? Jason Tatum, who then cuts right behind his back while Kevin Durant is looking at the clock like, this has got to be close to the end of the game. This has got to be close to like, we got 1 second left. He looks up with 3 seconds left, and he probably went, oh, fuck. And Jason Tatum right behind his back. Because he was like, oh, shit, there's 3 seconds left. Somebody's got to be cutting right now. And he does. That's just the first thing he does. He goes, looks real quick, and he goes, oh, shit. And Tatum's behind his back. And then, obviously, the rest is history. Takes it, spins.
It's
layup. So you got to call timeout.
You've got to call timeout.
KD didn't know how much time was left, guys. Kevin Durant, the best player in the world, basically, doesn't know how much time's left. So you have to call timeout.
Yeah, there absolutely should have been a timeout there. And and then I wanted to ask you, so let's move on. Did you watch the Suns and Pelicans last night?
I did, yeah.
Okay. That play where they were coming out, and I think it was in the fourth quarter, where the Pelicans player took his shoulder across Ayton's face.
On like a run out rebound sort of thing.
Yeah, it was like on that. Yeah. That to me looked more than incidental or unintentional.
It was. But was it like blatant? Like that's kind of what they're looking for at this point. Because guys do that shit all the time. Like, remember I'm not bringing up LeBron for any reason, but it's just a good example. Remember like that fucking play where the Isaiah Williams freaked out on him, or Isaiah, was it?
I know who you're talking
about.
Elbows,
where they're on the free throw line. He does like the thing where he just like literally, because the dude's wrapping his arm, so all he does is like try and go and like throw his arm off, which they do all the time. And he instantly hit him in the fucking chin or in the eye and all that shit.
Right.
He hit him in the chin. It fucked him up. Like he elbowed him in the chin legitimately. He was just trying to get his arm off of him. that I feel like that was the same kind of play where like that's what happens usually. Like that's what they're usually doing. Like you do that all. That's just a natural like thing. Like somebody's hanging on your back and shit. You do you go with way too much into it. But like, is it blatant to where you're like actually aiming? Like, oh, I'm gonna hit this motherfucker in the face. I think that's where they're trying to separate it at. Does that make sense?
For me, there was the contact above the head or above the neck, or above, shoulders up. The contact above that, the hard contact above that. And if he didn't have the awareness to know where those other players were as he was trying to cut across for no fucking reason,
he knew exactly.
Oh, he was trying to be on ball. The guy that was, there was already somebody that was on the ball.
He knew exactly what he was doing.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And man, that's giving somebody a concussion like that. Like, because that's potentially what could have happened. And Ayton seemed okay. And they haven't said anything today. There wasn't anything about an injury report today saying he was day-to-day or anything. So he'd be all right. But that was fucking risky.
He ain't breaking DeAndre Ayton. Let's be honest.
That's a Morris brother dirty hit right there is what it is.
Yeah, but I mean, here's new rule, Tony. If they have to go to replay to decide if something was dirty or not, it's not dirty.
No, that means it was dirtier than that was dirtier than it was normal because
not dirty.
If it was harder to detect what was really going on initially because of how clean the shot was, that's got to be that's an effective dirty shot. We had to go back to the replay to fully see what happened between
like playing
Jokic and Morris. Was it Luka or was it Jokic? I can't remember.
That stuff's not what we're talking about though. We're talking about like the actual gameplay moves that aren't blatant. Like okay, so every game it happens, a fucking power forward or a center or a guy who's setting a screen at the top of the key for a point guard throws his body unnecessarily. Almost every single game, you'll see this at least 4 or 5 times. DeAndre Ayton does it all the time. He'll come up and set a screen for Chris Paul, and he does this like where they get like real strong real quick. It's that move where they go like that.
Oh yeah, they puff up. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
That's them throwing their bodies at the guard. 100%. That's all they're doing. They're just puffing up. They could just stand there and you could just stand there and not move like that. You can just get in that position and not move. But no, DeAndre Ayton's going up there and he's setting that fucking screen like that because he's throwing his body at somebody and he's doing it to a point where he's just getting in position, right? But you do it with a little bit of, that's exactly the same move that dude pulled. It's the same move. And like he just had it done to him a little bit, and that shit happens. Okay. That's what I'm saying. Like, if it's not, does that make sense though? Like, not. No.
And that's why I asked because I know I get a little passionate about Suns, and I can be a little biased. That's why I ask because I just
get it.
It just, man, it seemed too specific.
No,
to not be intentional.
He knew exactly what he was doing.
I say he had to have known exactly.
100% knew exactly what he was doing. Yeah. Who was it? Who was it? I can't remember who it was.
Oh, I can't remember. It was. Hold on. Let me get into this. If I remember correctly, it was... Shit, this doesn't have their numbers. So I remember it was number 11, if I remember correctly. I want to say it
wasn't Miles Bridges. Was it Miles Bridges?
Wait, no. It was... Might have been Jack... No, it wasn't Jackson Hayes. He's not...
Interesting.
Maybe it was Jackson. Because it was a taller dude. Like he was still shorter than Ayton, but he was a taller dude. So I think it might have been Jackson Hayes. But I remember it was number 11. I can say that with absolute certainty.
I think number 11 is Miles Bridges.
So maybe that's who it was. I don't know. I could be wrong. And you know what? Hold on. I'm looking at.
No, it wasn't Miles Bridges. It wasn't Miles Bridges because Miles Bridges was suspended for throwing his mouthpiece. Miles Bridges is the Hornets, though, too. I'm thinking the wrong guy. And we got Michael Bridges on the same fucking Phoenix. Confuses my all the time. I think he's number 11 too, isn't he? Yeah, he is.
Yeah, Mikal Bridges is number 11.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was thinking. I was like, Miles Bridges, motherfucker, doesn't even play for the Pelicans.
Box score.
Plays for the Hornets. I should stop smoking so much weed before we do this.
You really
podcast.
should.
Can't think of any names.
I think it was Hayes.
Jackson Hayes. That makes sense. Jackson Hayes is a big motherfucker, but not next to DeAndre Ayton. He's not.
Yeah, I think it was Jackson Hayes.
I don't know how many people are big next to DeAndre Ayton.
I mean, he makes so many fucking people look small. It's ridiculous.
He's a big dude. I just can't believe how well he moves. You know, that's what it was before they drafted him. Like, everybody was like, yeah, DeAndre Ayton's just going to be the number one pick. And they were like, what if he can't shoot? And they were like, guys, have you seen a fucking game? Go watch this guy live and tell me he's not going to be the number one pick. Because that is, you can tell when he's playing. They're like, this dude runs the floor. They're like, how big is he? 7'2", 290. Excuse me? He's 7'2", 290 pounds. And he just runs the floor. Like, he's a legitimate power forward movement wise.
No, that's a good comparison too. It's what shocks me with Ayton is he's not just his personality in general, but his personality on the court. If you watch that guy play, he just looks like he's having fun. You very rarely, like, if you see a shot of Ayton, unless he's like getting ready to do something hard, like when he's posted up, when he's moving around, always got a smile on his face. And I respect the hell out of a player like that. Just happy to be there. He's a big kid. You know,
I'm the biggest fucking DeAndre Ayton fan, dude. I think he's the most underrated. I think he's the most underrated player in the NBA right now. I don't think there is another. I think that the reason, and I think the NBA writers know that too. And I think that's a lot of the reason why I was kind of saying earlier in the Sports Report, is that that's why Devin Booker's not getting so much love for MVP, dude, because they know how good DeAndre Ayton is. Like, they think that I think that the NBA writers think that DeAndre Ayton does way more for that team than he gets credit for. And I think that he doesn't get talked about.
He does. But the other thing is that team, they play as a unit.
100%.
And they're not playing to get Booker 30 points and Chris Paul 30 points and Ayton 20 rebounds. They're just playing basketball. Who's ever in the best position to make the move makes the move.
How good was Devin Booker before DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul got there? He wasn't very good, Tony, is the answer to that. They lost 50 plus games like almost every single year in his first 6 years. He scored out of his asshole.
And I mean, yeah, he was scoring out of his asshole, but they weren't getting anything for it. And then you add Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton, somebody that can run the floor and somebody that can be the wrecking ball, so that he can be. Devin Booker can be a floor general when Chris Paul is not on the floor. But in reality, Devin Booker is a pure shooter.
Devin Booker, yes.
And I think that this is why you can't, as much as you can see some flashes of Kobe and Devin Booker's play, because you do see it. Devin Booker, you can't compare him to Kobe because Kobe was not just a pure shooter. Kobe was a game manager. Devin Booker,
is not as good an athlete as Kobe Bryant was.
That's true.
Devin Booker's a great athlete, don't get me wrong. The guy's a freak, obviously. Yeah. But is he at the athletic level that Kobe was at? No, because very few guys are at the athletic level that Kobe. There was probably about 10 dudes that came through Kobe's whole fucking career where you could be like, all right, they're probably on the same plane as Kobe Bryant. He was an absolute freak, guys. I don't know if you remember. He won a dunk contest in his fucking warm-ups. Go back and watch that one. It's stupid. Some of his dunks are ridiculous. They're ridiculous. And he was a freak athlete. But Devin Booker, a little bit smaller too. 6'5", Kobe around about 6'6", a little bit slimmer. But other than that, I mean, Devin Booker has all those good parts of Kobe's scoring game. He doesn't have the dog in him. Honestly, I don't think. I don't know if he's gonna go out there and try and kill you like Kobe would. But that's kind of what separates him, I think, a little bit. And I think Kobe was a better defender. Obviously, I think
Yeah,
Kobe was a better player, but
yeah, and that's one of the things that actually separates them for me is Kobe played a lot more defense. He was, and like I said, he was more of a game manager.
Kobe
But
slashed a lot more too.
He did.
He went to the rim a lot more. Devin Booker's not really I'm going to go to the rim and because
He's
obviously, yeah, Kobe had a great
mid-range and three. He is great. But when it comes to going in, you would rather have Chris Paul or DeAndre Ayton doing it. And Ayton developing that little hook shot that he's got, so he doesn't have to even be facing it. He can hook it around that mid-range hook shot that he's got from like 8-9 feet out that he can do it. That is something that you can continue to use.
Beautiful.
Because it's hard to block, especially with his size. Not only do you have, an easy 4 to 6 inches of height on anybody else, but you also have the ball away from them and you're just taking it up over everybody's head. That's ridiculous.
The sky hook, perfect example.
Yeah.
Unblockable fucking shot.
That's exactly what it is.
And then it became the Dirk 1-footer, the Dirk fadeaway 1-footer, which Kevin Durant uses now a lot. A lot of guys use it. It's literally just if you're just tall, you can fade off and you're just unblockable. If you fade away and you shoot it from the top, from way up here, it's unblockable. It's the same kind of thing. If you can just master that mid-range. But yeah.
One thing really quick on, you mentioned picking up other people's shots. Embiid managed to pick up a couple of moves from Harden, make it to where they weren't charging or traveling, and he's actually gotten a little bit better with his stuff as well from his especially his step backs.
I saw him use that big old Euro step that he clearly learned from James Harden, where it's one and then like completely across his body for the second step. And it's like, how are you supposed to fucking guard that? Like most 7-foot guys can't do that, let alone actually
it just
implement
speaks to the talent of Embiid. And that's one of the reasons I have a lot of respect for Embiid as a player is because he is very purely talented.
For his size, his size and that skill set together. I don't know if we've ever seen that before. I don't know if you've ever seen that before. He's like just like DeAndre Ayton is the best parts of like Greg Oden is the best comparison I would make. Like that's what they wanted Greg Oden to be is DeAndre Ayton. Okay. So like that was like the ceiling limit. Yeah. And like, that's a really good thing. He got drafted number 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
They both did. So like, they know what the fuck's going on. Like they know exactly like what they wanted it to be. And I think DeAndre Ayton has fulfilled a lot of that and like credit to that motherfucker. I love that dude. He's one of the most underrated guys in basketball right now. Like DeAndre Ayton, bro, get with me, get on the show. I'm your biggest fan. I'm your biggest fan. But
I wish
he will. He'll come on. We'll get big enough. We'll at some point we're gonna have like 50, 55 viewers, bro. Like we'll get like 50 or 55 views, and it'll be like people will be like, damn. DeAndre Ayton's gonna be like, damn, bro, I need to go on that fucking podcast. Those guys are behind me, and they got tons of viewers, bro. Tons of likes. It'd be like, wait a second. I can get out to 55 more people than I am right now. Boom, I'm on there. And possibly risk this guy talking me into saying something I don't want to. Bam, I'm on there.
Because you and I both know he gets on here, you're gonna start playing juicing or not juicing, and you're gonna start dropping
100%.
100%. LeBron,
hey,
Chris Paul,
DeAndre. I need to know LeBron juicing or not. I need to know. This is my first one. I hate to start you out on this one, but LeBron, juicing or not? I need you to tell me, man. Have you seen anything suspicious? Because it will ruin a lot of what I believe in. It will ruin a lot of my foundation as a human being if you say juicing.
Oh my god!
I already thought it was going on, but now it's just wrecked. Yeah, DeAndre, come on, man. DA.
So, the other thing I want to talk about tonight before we wrap up. There's been a few different sports team owners in the news recently. We've got Dan Snyder, who was apparently using Jimmy Carr's accounting.
What a peach! Peach Dan Snyder is, by the way. Everybody, man, if you guys have not, he's a peach. He's a real peach.
I honestly, I don't understand. Here's what I don't get. Sterling says the N-word in a recording one time. That dude was out as an owner within a month. Dan Snyder sexually harassed, and now that he's not, the Commanders are not even allowed to have a cheerleading squad because of Dan Snyder. several members of the Washington board are all out on Me Too-esque comments. He's had these allegations levied against him as well.
Guys, this is
And
like
is
10
still
years of
owner.
this shit. This is like 10 fucking plus years of this shit. This has been going on for a while.
And now that it's found out that he was misreporting league money so that he could get more from the profit share, now he's in trouble.
Oh, of course he is, because he fuck with their money.
Fucking serious?
Oh, because he fuck with their money, bro. Daniel Snyder
That's the line?
Daniel Snyder makes Donald Sterling look like Tom Hanks.
Jesus.
Like that is how, seriously, he does. That's how good it is. Like, that is how much worse Daniel Snyder is than anybody.
But
This guy's like the worst human being alive.
I'm not saying Donald Sterling shouldn't have been forced to sell a team with how much of a horrible person he is. I supported that pressure 100%.
Like Tom Hanks within the racist pieces of shit. So go ahead.
Right. But
yeah,
how can the NFL not make this choice before now? We have multiple problems of women getting sexually harassed that are being untreated, that are being unhandled, and not just at lower points in the organization where a player smacked a cheerleader on the ass. Okay. That you could almost expect just because of the environment. I'm not condoning it, but I'm saying, hey, if somebody was like, hey, Robert Gritton, RG3, when he was a quarterback for the Commanders or, for the then Redskins, was walking into the locker room before halftime and the cheerleaders were getting ready to come out and do a dance and he smacked one in the ass that he was friends with or that he was attracted to. I'd be like, okay, yeah, it's not cool, but I'm not surprised.
It doesn't surprise me.
But we've got Dan Snyder, multiple allegations that are Me Too related, multiple financial mismanagement issues. And I'm talking before the situation that has come to light now with them mismanaging funds and hiding money. Basically, like legitimate money laundering, he could probably go to jail issues that they're dealing with now. There have been financial issues before. But now that he was mishandling stuff to get more profit share,
he was taking your
that's when we're gonna finally say, oh, okay.
I think Dan Snyder.
John Gruden gets out for a bunch of shitty emails. Again, not condoning the behavior. But you also have to remember that John Gruden was a coach that plenty of players of different races played for. He was an asshole, but I don't think he was racist.
Absolutely not. And several guys came out after that and were like, no. Like,
yeah,
I know this guy. Like, I know him personally. Like, no.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Again, not condoning the things he said in the emails. There's some horrible shit. But how is it that John Gruden loses his career in a shorter time than it has taken Dan Snyder to be put in the position where now they're finally at the choice where they're going to have to sell the team. And now is when we start to see the potential for the Commanders to finally get sold. How is this the fucking line? What kind of image does that send through the NFL that we're going to look at, we're going to look past the sexual harassment, the basic financial issues, all the racist comments that your board members were making and the mistreatment of your players and your horrible treatment of your fucking cheerleaders. Those are all cool. But the second that is fucking with the profit share money, now we have a problem?
Yeah.
Come the fuck on.
Amen. Whoring out your entire cheerleading squad. Guys, read about these things. I swear to God, he was just pimping out. He was pimping out his entire fucking cheerleading squad for years. I mean, for years. There was women who would not come back to work for this motherfucker because they literally did not want to have to go to Hawaii or something and be basically prompted to blow a bunch of old white guys for money. He was doing it for years, like making it a thing where, like, if you don't do it, I'm not joking, guys. This is a real thing. If you don't do it, maybe you don't work for us next year. Like, this is legit shit. We're just like, just Dan being Dan being Dan Snyder up there.
Dan,
it's like, what in the fuck is going on?
These are the problems. These are the things that continue to prevent progress in these issues that we've been trying to really make genuine progress with as a society. And it really pisses me off because when you have this continual choice to just, not give a fuck and allow these individuals to get away with things. Let's look at, and this is individuals and privilege. We will even go back to the Deshaun Watson case. Because even if we look at only half of these allegations are true, because it's not impossible to think that some women could just be saying this for money. They'd given him a massage, so they've got that they can prove. But outside of that, it becomes more he said, she said with most of those cases.
29 of them is a lot, though.
But that many allegations,
statistically,
at least
some of them is true. One of them
at least.
At least one.
And he gets
most guaranteed money in
$230 million in guaranteed money because before he stopped playing, he was a top 3 quarterback. I get that professional sports is not a vessel of morality. I understand that. It is what it is. You got to be a violent motherfucker to play a contact sport.
Understatement of the century.
That's just the way that it is. But at the end of the day,
you're not just a
at the end of the day, as a public organization, everything your organization does is a commodity. Because, and let's look at it, training camp and what goes on in the meeting rooms, the NFL, that's a commodity.
Madness.
Everything you do in a professional sport can be a commodity. The groundskeepers get their own Twitch and they get bonuses for views for doing cool shit on their Twitch or their TikTok. Everything in a professional sport is commoditized now.
Yeah.
So how are we going to allow these individuals to lead these businesses and be the faces of these organizations with these kind of accusations, with these kind of problems? Because I understand that the product is a consideration for a business, especially one of the NFL's magnitude. The product matters. But how many of your fans aren't going to be interested in the product on the field because of how catastrophic these issues off the field are? If the Raiders don't make choices and calls and have conversations to keep the issues from happening that they had last year going on, it's going to be hard for them to get any support and fill that stadium because nobody's going to want to be affiliated with the organization because of the continued criminal issues.
Right.
A lot of people forget how much of a hit to popularity the Cowboys took in the mid-90s when they had a dozen players go in and out of jail within like a year's time.
And that was before social media.
And that was before social media. And when it was still
kind of sweep it a little bit.
Mid-90s, everybody's super conservative. And these organizations clearly had more power over the information that goes out than they do now.
Well, yeah.
And we still knew about all these guys going out. And the Cowboys took a hit in the public image.
Right.
And they had to make some changes. And these organizations are allowing these things to come in front of them and not making changes. And then people wonder why professional sports are losing ground.
On that point, kind of too, I think there's a pretty simple explanation for why Dan Snyder hasn't been outed. And that's literally because he has some shit. That motherfucker's got some dirt on some people. He's been an NFL owner for a while, man.
He's got some
dirt on some people.
Makes sense.
He's going straight Jeffrey Epstein. Going straight Jeffrey Epstein on this one. Like, for real. It's fucked up, but like he has some straight dirt.
He was whoring out those cheerleaders. How many other owners got to spend an afternoon, an escort with a Redskins cheerleader?
Think about it. It's gonna make you feel dirty. But think about it for a second. That's that's serious shit. That's actual
and that's
stuff.
That's what he was doing.
That's absolutely what he was doing. Absolutely what he was doing.
Sponsorships, people that were buying suites. That's exactly what he was doing. So at that point, you've got to wonder, how deep does it go?
Makes Donald Sterling look like Tom Hanks.
Makes Donald Sterling look like Don Imus.
Like Don, there you go. Yes. Makes Don Imus look like Tom Hanks. Don Imus died, didn't he? Good.
I think he did.
That's very good.
Or he just like dissolved into dust. He was already old as fuck when he got fired anyway.
Like right after they fired him on his show, he just sank
like
into the chair. I was like,
it's like the Thanos snap happened, but it was only Don Imus.
That's the same fucking comparison I was gonna make. Yep, I was gonna make that same comparison. He just floats away, like with the microphone, like in his cigar. This cigar just falls to the ground. It just falls on the still burning, very, very poetically.
And I hope that the NFL does something about him.
Do you have all the stones, Tony? Do you have all the stones?
I do not.
I wear them around my neck. Me too. Yeah. Good. That's how we originally wanted to do this show, by the way, guys.
Yeah. That's the goal.
Nobody was on board. Nobody was on board with it. They were like, "This is stupid." And I was like, "You know what? It's not stupid." Because Mike Tyson does it all the time. He calls it hot boxing. Great podcast, Mike, bro, come on the show, man. He actually probably would. He probably would, Don.
He would. He wouldn't know where he was or what he was doing, but he would do it.
Like I can't do it. It's serious, man. I can't do it.
Like I was watching a quote. I was watching a video. I think it was tonight where Mike Tyson made a point about Conor McGregor that I hadn't thought about in his boxing match with Manny Pacquiao. Conor McGregor stepped into the ring with one of the
Mayweather
biggest, or with Mayweather. Sorry, with Mayweather.
I'm on.
Stepped into the ring with one of the greatest boxing talents in a century, with no boxing experience, and went 10 rounds.
There's people who call Floyd the GOAT. So that's literally like,
Tyson calls Floyd the GOAT.
Yeah. So the greatest ever. Like that's just a ballsy Irishman is what that is.
He literally in this interview where he was talking about this, he said he is the greatest boxing talent in 100 years. And Conor stepped into the ring with him and went 10 rounds. Yeah, he lost, but he went 10 rounds with Mayweather.
That fight was close through 4 or 5 rounds, which is fucking stunning.
That's still a remarkable talent. That's still remarkable. Yeah.
Conor McGregor can throw hands is one thing that says is that Conor McGregor is a legitimate boxer for one, who happens to just be able to kick you in the fucking head too.
He's a legitimate fighter in general.
Right. He just is a fighter.
He just is a fighter.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah. That dude. Yeah. Like that's the guy you don't want to run into drunk at an Irish bar one night.
No.
Just like, this motherfucker just looks little. I'm going to beat the shit. Really? He will use you up. He will use you up and end your life.
He will end you so ended your family will forgot you existed.
Like, yeah, I remember that'll be forever your calling card. We'll be like, yeah, Dan got killed by Conor McGregor at a bar.
That would be on your headstone.
You just be famous for it.
That would be on your headstone. Just
Conor
got killed by Conor McGregor.
Fucking killed you at a bar because you talked shit to him. Because you'd had a bit too many Guinness and you fucking talked shit to him and he fucking kicked your head against some wood that they had sitting around and it was over. He just crushed your fucking head. And he didn't get anything for it. He just walked off. They were just like, nah, he came at me first.
And my final thing, circling back to sports owners, I thought about the Mike Tyson thing, but circling back to sports owners, our final thing. Bob Castellini needs to sell the Reds. Yeah. We talked about this a little bit on Sports Report tonight. His comments about where they're going to go to Reds fans, not happy about the product and not going to opening day. Well, where are they going to go? Not the Reds games until he sells a team.
Bob Castellini, you're a dick.
And what makes it even worse is like the people in the area are legitimately unified against it. And these players, like they have some remarkable talent on that team in Cincinnati. And so to be selling yourself short, selling your players short like that you piss off the fans. Yeah, you can still pay your players because you've got TV revenue coming in. So you're not worried about it until they stop watching.
Or like they can't go
especially
anywhere,
because
they can just not go to your stadium.
Yeah.
They can not go anywhere. They really can't. They can just not go anywhere, bud. That's the sick truth about it, is they just don't have to come to your stadium either. At all.
They don't. And you know, it was bad enough during the pandemic having to watch these athletes play in front of empty stadiums because fan energy has an impact on the competition. It legitimately does.
100%.
But to see Reds players have to deal with that even more now because of Castellini, it's time for him to sell the team.
Totally agree.
The hashtag that's been trending last couple of days, hashtag sell the team, needs to happen. Hashtag sell the team.
Two things.
Any final? Go ahead.
Yes. Final thoughts. Two things on that. I would like to see an all-time percentage of home versus visitor records for every sport ever. That's definitely a statistic.
You can find it. You
got to be out there.
You can see it. Yeah, it's.
I'm gonna make a bet on it and say I bet it's about 53.5 to 46.5 home team. So you're looking at least a 3.5%, which is a lot because technically this should be 50-50, right? It should be pretty close to 50-50. If we're gonna take every sport ever, home versus visitor, and there's no crowd involved, you would think it's going to be closer to 50-50, right? It would almost be right down the line. It would have to be because it doesn't matter because the professional team is playing the professional team, right? So if you go, I'd say it's probably 53.5. I don't know the number obviously, but I'd say it's about 3 or 4%. That's for the home team. That's how much the crowd influences the game. For one, that was the first part. So the crowd absolutely does matter, like you were saying.
Well, it's like when you think about like pro sports teams, their goal win out at home and split the road.
Yes.
Because
so
they expect to lose some games on the road.
That home momentum is a huge thing when you're actually playing.
Mm-hmm.
That's obviously a huge thing.
Yeah.
Number two, the Reds need to be not only petitioning to get that douchebag owner out of there, they also need to petition to change the name of their team. New rule, you can't just be named a color. Like, it's not like the Los Angeles purple. Like, not a thing. Like, they just stop. No more team names that are just a color. Are they the only one? Because any other ones need to be changed too. A lot of them have like if you have like a color thing in front of it, like the the Thundering Herd, or like what is it?
They've got the Blue Jays. I mean, there's some that have the color in the name, but it's not
Red
the
Sox,
name.
obviously.
Red Sox. Right.
Shit like that. White Sox. But yeah, if the color in the name's not the issue, you can't be named after a fucking color. They're just the Reds. Like, red's not a thing. Like, it's a color. How can you name your team that? Just a thought.
I think the red and I don't know a lot about the mascot for Cincinnati, so I'm if there's somebody watching that has a little bit more experience with it, maybe they can tell us. But if I remember correctly, the Reds is supposed to be almost like for a robin or a red bird, but the Cardinals were already a team, so they just went with the Reds, and it's almost like a red bird. Because if you look at, especially if you look at the C in the Cincinnati, it's almost got a beak to it. And I think that's the reason why.
There's some kind of bird undertones there for sure.
There is, and so I think that's what it comes from. But so basically, they're just not they're ripping off the Cardinals without ripping off the Cardinals.
I'm getting a reference here, and this like several times here. I'm getting a reference to the Mask of Red Death, which was a Edgar Allan Poe short story. American Gothic classic, and I believe that actually is part of their. Somehow that's part of their thing. Don't quote me on that, but I think that it is.
No, it does make sense because I almost want to say, yeah, that's that. Okay, that makes sense.
Something like that. Which still,
but they're definitely another team that could use a rebrand. I think the Commanders need a rebrand.
Yeah,
after they just went through one.
How about the Guardians?
Right.
You know,
honestly, it's
like
going over better than I expected. I think it's overall, I think it's better than I expected.
And it's got like story to it. The Guardian is that bridge that comes into Cleveland. There's like 3 bridges that come over the Ohio River, and one of them is called the Guardian, and it's like a famous old bridge that comes in, and like it's like a fucking staple in Cleveland. If you live there, apparently you know what it is. We could ask Gene about that. But yeah, that's where the Guardian story came from. It's got like some kind of backstory to it, and I like it, and I'm fine with the Guardians. Obviously, the Indians, not even a thing, because fucking Columbus's dumbass just thought that those were people from India, And that's why it was just like, that seems ridiculous to have that as a team.
Hold on.
Why can't why they change it to the Cleveland Native Americans? Doesn't that seem like it's more like, it's not really that, doesn't flow that well. It's kind of a long name, the Native Americans.
Yeah. I think the issue with them having to make the changes was simply was the mascot, the way the caricature of Indian was the problem. Because honestly, like if they would have done, if their usage of Native American imagery would have been more appropriate, they would have been fine. The Redskins didn't have to change their name. The tribe local there was actually very supportive of what they were doing and had been the designer of the logo that they were using. So the reason the Redskins had to change their name was purely because of outside pressure, not inside pressure.
Right.
The Indians, though, the mascot that they were using, the One-Eyed Wally or whatever his name was
super like drunk Indian type.
Yeah, like it was a caricature and very disrespectful, and I could see why needing to change that. But when they decided, instead of just changing that, they completely rebranded everything. And
which you should probably should.
I get the decision, because ultimately I think the Guardian stuff can be great. You know, you've got new uniforms, new image, new name. You get to redo the stadium a little bit and paint some stuff to change some stuff around so it can kind of be a facelift. Rebranding isn't a bad thing unless you watch the episode about rebranding on New Girl, because that was just fucking weird. Remember that show?
It's a good show. Zooey Deschanel.
Yeah, Zooey Deschanel. It wasn't a bad, but the episode where Schmidt's like, it's a rebranding. I was just like, what the fuck?
I didn't see that one, but yeah,
it's in the early. I think it's in the second season.
Good show though.
Maybe second season.
Grows on you.
Yeah, it does. And one of Amber's favorite shows. She really likes
it's a good show. It grows on you.
But I think honestly their rebranding definitely went better than the Commanders. Yeah. There were so many things they could have used that were better.
They stopped for a second and were just like, hey, we don't know what we want to be. We're just going to be the Washington football team.
They could have ran with that and been better than the Commanders, honestly.
Just be straight Washington, just the W and then the colors.
Why not?
I mean, it's better than the Commanders.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing is American sports is really the only major sports organizations that have like a mascot. If you go over to like European soccer teams, Manchester United.
No,
it's just the Manchester United.
Colors,
Arsenal.
Colors. And,
And like,
they don't have names, do they? It's just like this is like the city. It's not like there's no actual team name. Like it's just
like Manchester
club.
United.
Yeah,
Manchester United or Manchester
Sporting.
City, Sporting, KC, Arsenal, like Kansas City, like all of the like a lot of the MLS teams have even moved away from it, because it used to be the Kansas City. Do you remember what it was?
I just know it's Sporting KC now, but no,
it was Kansas City Wizards.
The Wizards, yeah, okay.
It was the Kansas City Wizards. Tony Meola, you remember him? Goalie,
yep. Old school time.
Back when we were in high school.
Sporting KC is great.
It's a great image. All of the Sporting KC stuff looks great. Like when I get my first MLS jersey, it's going to be a Sporting KC jersey. They do a great job. But just that the Commanders handled the rebranding like they take care of their cheerleaders. Not very well.
Not very good. It was rough and like super hard to look back at. Like just some
apology. A lot of apologies.
There's a lot. I feel like somebody's owed an apology. Like so many people are owed apologies from Dan Snyder.
Anybody that's ever had to work for that scumbag is owed an apology.
Just
once he sells the team, I mean, obviously, he's another one of those guys where he probably made 10 times what he bought the team for. But, and especially because he bought the shares of the team that some of the other minority owners has, so that he was the sole owner. So when he's forced to sell that team, he's still going to make $1 billion, and they should be forced to break some of that up, or most of that up, to all of those people that had to suffer through what he did to them.
That's never going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Dan Snyder's going to walk away with just everybody that's out there listening. Just think that you live in a world where Daniel Snyder is going to do that to all those people, and he's going to walk away with $1 billion more for it. Just sit and bask in it, and then sit back and just say how there's nothing you'd change about your life. Just and in closing on the Sports Report After Dark, let's just talk about how fucking terrible everything is. All right, Daniel Snyder's going to walk away with $1 billion more fucking dollars. Just because, and you guys aren't going to be able to do a fucking thing about it because that's how the world works.
Yep.
Dun 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 dun. Kids, listening next week as we talk about the hilarious suicide rate of people over there. Come on, man. Okay.
We're going to talk about Junior Seau's last day alive while Disney music plays in the background.
And then I'm going to break down Javon Belcher's last day, his final hours.
Why do you bring up that fucking story
Javon
so
Belcher
much?
and Chris Benoit's final 6 hours as human beings.
Oh, Jesus
We're going to talk about
Christ.
that in detail. I'm going to read off of an actual crime report of what happened those days. And you guys are going to be like, oh, fuck, I don't want to be alive anymore.
I know anybody with like ESPN or NBC Sports or Fox Sports that can get me the hell off this show and into a real gig. That would be fantastic because this motherfucker.
Everybody wants to come on? Talk about next week. The law offices of Charlie Hebdo.
Any God damn it.
Next
All
week,
right, man.
Boston Marathon. Was it an inside job? No, I'm just kidding. That's terrible.
Oh no, God damn it. No.
It was a joke.
No.
Isn't that supposed to be happening sometimes? The Boston Marathon?
Today. It was today. You fuckhead.
Hey, look at that. Didn't know that. Definitely didn't know that, Boston fans. Come at me. Hey, at me, Boston fans. You don't have your main fucking insult either because I'm white. Boston fans. Yeah, your main insult you're going to use. That main insult you're going to use doesn't work with me, motherfuckers.
You think they care that you're white? They'll still say it.
They will. They'll be like, we don't even care. Sorry, that was Midwestern. Hey, over here, 7. Hey, this motherfucker. Oh, I can't even do it now.
We're laughing too hard.
Can't even do it.
All right, buddy. Any final thoughts?
I know who you are, and I know who you're not. And you're not a fucking Sox fan. You're fucking not, Tony. Fuck out of here with your bullshit. Fucking living over in Providence. Fucking living in Providence thinking he's a fucking Sox fan. Unbelievable. Yeah, no, I'm good, man. I think I've said all I need to say. I think we've both said all we need to say. Don't you think?
Yeah. Dan Snyder can go fuck himself. That's my final thought.
Dan Snyder basically just hoard out an entire group of his cheerleaders for like 10 years, and all you guys were just like, wow, the Redskins are doing it pretty good. Yeah, good. Yeah. Right underneath your noses, all of you.
They should have focused more on what was going on in the organization in the name of it.
For real. I think everybody knew, and it was like, they were like, no, Dan Snyder's fine because he has shit on people. You're not doubt in my mind that the motherfucker's got some shit.
Yeah, I hope some more, and I hope he does take some people down with him.
They're gonna straight Jeffrey Epstein him, dude. They're gonna send him to prison, and he's gonna hang himself.
Wouldn't surprise me.
In some weird way, not like actually, but like they'll make him like basically like Dan Snyder. You don't get to talk any. Dan Snyder, you gonna talk anymore? Just go move to fucking wherever you're Uruguay or the what the fuck ever, and live out there and have your $10 million home, and just don't fucking say anything anymore. And he'll probably do it because he doesn't want to die, because those guys will kill him. He's like, yeah, I'll take my $10 billion and go move wherever I want. But good for you, Dan Snyder.
You put him in a compound on an island that, you sell him the compound that Hitler used when he was staying in the Bahamas before he went down to South America, with all the walls and all the medical stuff that's all in there. You say, all right, you don't get to leave.
Well, who was the dude from, who was the drug lord?
El Chapo?
El Chapo. Chapo had his own, guy before him, though. Not Chapo.
Escobar.
Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar had his own, imprisoned himself in his own country he literally owned the prison, moved everybody out of it, and then stayed inside the prison for his prison sentence, the prison that he owned, where he was just like leaving and doing whatever the fuck. Like he just had a huge compound, like his house. They were like, oh yeah, I just got to stay on your island. You gotta stay in your big ass island, your nice ass house. Just stay there. And he still wasn't doing it. Still leaving and shit.
Yeah.
Paying guards every day to fucking leave and shit. These guys that work for the country. Yeah, hilarious. Yeah, that one. They'll just send him that one.
Yep, that's exactly where he's going. But we all could be. At least we have integrity.
We get to keep our integrity. How's that working out for you, everybody?
I have a cold crunch wrap to eat.
Crunch wraps and podcasts is how it's working out for you, and it's beautiful.
That's what you know. What when we rebrand After Dark, because we've been talking so much about rebrand, we might as well rebrand. That's
Crunch
what we'll call our
wraps.
podcast: Crunch Wraps and Podcasts.
And podcasts, or CWPC. No, that doesn't work. We'll just keep it Crunch Wraps and Podcasts. Yeah.
So we'll use actual like stock Taco Bell pictures of Crunch Wrap in all of our shit and see how long it takes for Taco Bell to sue us.
We already kind of stole their fucking neon sign thing where it's like drive-through late, open late or whatever.
No, they can't claim that one because it's the bar signs and stuff like that. It's a font. It's a font.
Yeah, we kind of, Taco Bell, come at us. I'm just trying to get everybody in. Like, nobody gives a fuck, and I'm just trying to get everybody in on the fight. Like, all the big, because I figure that's how you do it these days, right? You just say some ridiculous shit.
I figured out that the way that we will be able to tell we've made it is when we get roasted by Wendy's on Twitter.
That's the down that you've made it. Yeah.
That's the peak.
I would like to get roasted by anybody. Like, quite literally, Azrael could come on here and I'd be like, successful podcast today. Azrael roasted us. My expectations are not high. Okay. So like, it's very easy to exceed them with this podcast in particular.
We're doing pretty good. We're getting some attention.
I think we are. I think we're doing good.
Yeah.
Whether or not anybody else thinks we're doing good is really irrelevant. Because if we leave this podcast just thinking we did the best that we could, that's all that matters. It's all that matters.
If it helps for anybody watching, if they think that we suck, like, it's not intentional. We're trying.
We're trying really hard.
Feel bad for us, if anything.
I still get nervous. Before I come on this podcast.
I have to prep just like when I stand up.
0 people watch. I'm still nervous for it. So that's just the amount of effort that we're putting out for you guys should be appreciated. We are doing the best that we can. Okay?
Share our bad podcast with your friends, you assholes.
Or whatever you kids do. Like it. Like it on Facebook and stuff. I don't even know how to get on this thing. Tony just like tells me where to show up, and I just like click on a link, and I'm like, is it going through? Good. I'm like, do you unpack things? What's that old thing where you do zip? Do you zip files?
Yeah,
Tony, did you unzip my file? Like, Dan,
yes.
There's no reason for you to unzip your file. We don't need to do that. That's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, that's why you're not allowed in front of that school again.
You just don't unzip in front of a school or any playground
or church.
Kids, you have to tell the kids that. Don't. It's not a normal thing for you to do.
All right, man. It was fun tonight, and thank you to those of us that were watching for joining us. And
thanks for hanging in there.
Thanks for hanging in there, waiting for us to start. And next week we'll try to tell these guys to go fuck themselves and start on time.
Yes, definitely telling Josie to go fuck
themselves.
I did it correctly. I did it correctly, Josie. Count it.
Thank you for everybody that's joined us. You guys have a great night.